In this video, I'm going to share with you what I think are the top 10 mistakes that I see artists make the most. Hey everybody, welcome back to Art by Galen. I'm Galen Eilenfelt, and I have been thinking about this for a little while, and I decided to just sit down and take a break from my work today and make this video because it's kind of hot on my mind at the moment. And so I wrote a few things down, and we're just going to go through them. These aren't really mistakes that we make with the application of art. These are more fundamental mistakes that we as artists make, artists of all types. And it's also things that tend to hang us up in our work, and they can cause those artist blocks that we all hate so much. It can cause some people to just quit drawing. Lots of negative things that it can do to us. These are my own opinions and thoughts based on the things that I've observed with people. But I just wanted to share those with you. So number 10 is not interacting with other artists. I think that this is a big mistake because if you're not getting out there and, kind of bumping elbows a little bit with other artists, and I don't mean artists exactly like you. I mean, you can talk to artists that create in another medium entirely or in another style entirely. You can talk to people who do basically the same kind of work you do. That's fine too. But the point is that you're sharing experiences with each other. You are, it's kind of like if you take two stones and you bang them together, they're going to sharpen off of each other. And artists are the same way, as long as we allow for positive interaction. Not all artists are going to be receptive to wanting to chat with you about stuff, and some people can oddly be a little secretive about their techniques. And, to each their own, but you want to try to find a community or at least a couple individuals that you can talk to and share experiences with and share frustrations with, and also like solutions to those frustrations. Number 9, undervaluing your work. Far too many is mostly with like beginner and intermediate level artists. You see a lot of artists that charge very, very little for their work. And I know for a fact, because I've done it in the past too, but I know that it happens because most of the time we either don't feel like our work is worth it, or we are so hungry to get paid for our work that we're willing to pretty much take whatever someone will give us, even if it means that we spend a week on something and only get paid for a couple hours. And while it can feel good and it can get you a little bit of experience with dealing with clients and things like that, there is a little wiggle room in that very beginning area. But once you've done a few of those and it starts to feel a little bit like work and you have your own other projects that you need to be working on, or regardless, you need to be getting paid for what you do if you are doing it as a business. If you're providing a service to someone, you need to be getting paid for what you do. I have an entire video dedicated to calculating what you should charge as an artist, and I'll put a link to that up above. This mistake doesn't really apply to hobby artists. Like if you're just doing it for yourself or doing it for fun, don't worry about it too much. But if you are a professional or you aspire to be a professional, please do not undervalue your work, because ultimately you're not only hurting yourself, you're also hurting the industry around you. And that video that I linked earlier, that explains that. Number 8 kind of ties into number 10 a little bit, and it is not getting critiques often enough or not evaluating your own work often enough. One thing you can do is you can take your current work and compare it to 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, however many months ago, and compare it to your previous work, and you should be able to see little increments of growth in what you're doing. With that, you can make a more calculated effort to focusing your area of study and practice to improve on the line that you want to improve on. And that one's pretty simple, just being self-aware with your work. Number 7 is one of the things that probably frustrates me the most when I hear it and see it, because I get asked for it quite a bit. And that is looking for quick fixes and the art hacks. Basically, these are things that people are looking for, like some super simple, easy one-time solution that will make your art amazing. And this kind of crap doesn't exist. It doesn't. None of these things are going to take away the necessity to practice and to study. None of these things are going to fix any of that for you, because the way that people create good art is by having a good understanding of what they're doing. And if you don't have a good understanding of it, it's going to be very difficult for you to create that, consistently. Number 6 is a big one. Distractions. They're everywhere. They are social media, they are computers, they are phones, they are video games, they are going out with friends and partying and drinking. They're basically time wasters. They're things that don't help you progress your life in any way. Some things are absolutely necessary. Like, you want to spend time with your family, that's good. You need to spend time, with your job if you have one. You need to spend time with your school, doing your schoolwork. You need to spend time for yourself, improving on the things that you want to grow on. But outside of that, look at all these other things that you're spending time on, and you'll probably find that there are literally hours in the day that you can free up by eliminating these things. Now, as we come into the top 5, we're getting more into the meat of bigger mistakes that I see made quite a bit and have been guilty of myself in the past. Number 5 is just not being willing to put in the time to get out the crap. Because when you first start out, you're going to have a ratio of good art to bad art. You might have one awesome drawing for every 50, crap ones that you do. And the more that you draw, the more that ratio is going to start to shift, and you'll have more good drawings. You might do, after you've worked on it for a while or for a long while, you might get to where, you have about a 50-50. You might eventually get to where the number of good drawings far outweighs the number of bad ones that you do. But you're not going to get there without putting in the mileage, without putting in those repetitions, doing the work, doing the exercises, doing the practice. Not everything that you do has to be a masterpiece that you share on social media. It doesn't have to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. What it should be is you sitting down, getting to the work for yourself, and then that will get you to those awesome pieces that you want to share and get the recognition for. Number 4 is not studying the fundamentals. There are a number of things that we should focus on. And the fundamentals of art are line, space, texture, shape, form, color, value, composition. These things that you need to study in order to improve your work. Far too often they get looked over because people are worried about the flashy stuff. Like, okay, what fancy brushes in Photoshop can I use? What new software can I use that's going to make my art better? Or, I want to just copy this, character and make some fan art, and I want to do this and do that. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but there is something wrong if you are more worried about that than you are about the fundamentals of what you should be learning. Because nothing will fix broken art. Nothing will fix it. If you do character art, but you've never studied anatomy, your characters are not going to hold up. If you draw architecture, but you've never studied perspective or practiced it, you're not going to draw believable buildings. It's just not how it works. Even if you are wanting to do abstract art, it's not going to come together in a good, cohesive way if you haven't studied these things. So as my good friend and fellow YouTuber John Grimm would say, fundamentals, 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 fundamentals. Number 3 is making excuses. We'll skip over studying those fundamentals and we'll say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's my art. I'm doing it my way. It's my style. It's how I do things. But that's just an excuse. That's an excuse to skip the homework. That's an excuse to skip over learning those things that could make those, projects that you're doing that much better. And I personally don't know why people would want to skip over it. The only reasoning that I can understand is fear. Being afraid that you're going to fail when you study these fundamentals, or being afraid that it's going to be hard. And, let me make it clear for you. It is hard, and you will fail. You're going to fail over and over and over and over until you finally start clicking, and it's going to make sense, and you're going to do it right. And then from then forward, you got it. and you can lay that into every piece that you do. But it's not going to happen until you stop making excuses and do it. The number 2 mistake that I see is what I'm going to call eating the whole pie at once. And if we take the fundamentals of art and put it into a pie, and we break it into sections for each fundamental, it is really intimidating because you see all of these things that you know you want to learn and that you're going to have to learn if you want to create the art that's inside your head that wants out. But you can't try to learn all those things at once. You can't eat that whole pie at once. You have to do it one thing at a time or a couple things at a time and focus it on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And really what I mean here is when we try to eat the whole pie at once, we're failing to manage our own anxiety because we're so intimidated by the fact that there's so much to learn. So if you want to draw or paint characters, start with anatomy. Start with these fundamentals. If you want to do abstract art, focus on color theory and composition and the fundamentals that go along with that. The point being that you need to deliberately focus your study on the things that are going to get you closer to what your artistic goals are. And tackle them one piece at a time instead of trying to eat that whole pie at once. Number 1, the biggest mistake I see artists make all the time is not believing in themselves. You can do this. You can do these things, but you have to put in the time and effort. You can't expect that your art is going to be amazing and up to par with industry professionals if you haven't put in the time that they have. No, we don't all learn at the same speed. Some people pick it up very quickly. Some people take years to master one of the fundamentals. But that should not deter you from going after things that you want. If you have a passion to pursue art, or if you have a drive to become a professional artist, or if you just want to become a better hobby artist, you have to put in the time. You have to believe that you can, because you can. You just have to do it. Anyhow, I want to thank you for listening to me rant again today. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you're new here and ring that little bell icon so you get notifications for all the new videos that come up. I want to remind you that you can join my Discord server if you'd like. There's a link down below. And I also have a Patreon that I run where you can get early access to my YouTube videos. You get early access to my podcast, Art Tangents. By no means are you required, but if you would like to support me and what I do, that's the way to do it. Anyhow, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Keep creating, believe that you can do this, and take care.